panelists. Just help.
All right, thank you, Okafor. We've done that already. Okay, so basically, we start by sharing our experience, and then we can go ahead and discuss the process of applying to grad school and all the requirements, what you need to have. Most of it is common knowledge, but we'll emphasize more on it, and then we can take questions from the audience and share more light on that. So I would like to, Peace, I'd like you to go ahead and share your experience. I know you have a very unique experience, so we start from you, and then I will share my own experience, and then we can then go into talking about the special.
I mean, is Comfort not here? She's in California, right?
Yeah, I think Comfort is jumping from one room to the other. Comfort.
Oh, okay.
Comfort, am I right? Don't think she's here right now.
Okay, okay, no problem.
You can go ahead and share.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Amaka Onebunne, and I am a HND graduate. I studied mass communication at the Federal Polytechnic, Oko, Nigeria. And my experience is very, very unique one, because back in Nigeria, actually, you can't do your master's degree without doing a PGD, right? So that has kind of dulled me, or maybe because, okay, even while I was in school, I've always been interested in pursuing advanced degrees. But then it doesn't make sense to me as a Polytechnic graduate that after spending 5 years or more in school, I would have to also do extra 18 months program just to do my master's. So I didn't really subscribe to that idea. So that was it. But then I got onto Twitter and I saw that people are actually doing this, and I went into my own research. So I mailed some schools about qualifications that they need. They said, you have to, they call it a baccalaureate degree. So baccalaureate degree is basically a 4-year program, as long as it is up to 120 credit hours. You know, the courses we do in school, first semester, first year, second year to the 4th year or 50, as long as, in fact, most of the schools in Nigeria actually have more than over 120 credit hours. So most of the time, as long as it is over 120 credit hours and it's a 4-year program, you definitely qualify. But then it is not all of the schools that accept HND. And then one thing I'm going to say in this whole experience is that please resist the urge to ask basic questions. Like, you have to do your own research. You have to like add in efforts. You have to do this yourself, because at a point, even though I received a lot of help, I was not there. There are some people that you tell them, these are the schools that you need to apply, go to this school, apply to this school. They do accept HND, because I posted quite a lot of schools that accept HND. I have a lot of academic workload. My goal was to get at least up to 500 schools in the United States that accept HND. You don't even need your US. So, but then some people, when you add up this list, they still keep telling you, where is the link? How do I apply? I mean, I just posted the name of the school. There is Google. The next thing you need to do is maybe just go on Google, search the name of this school, and then take it up from there. Another thing I'm going to say is that before applying to any schools, I applied to 12 schools in total. I received 10 admissions and 2 rejected me. Now they rejected me because that was Kent State and Portland State University. I am saying this because of HND folks. Kent State and Portland State University, they do not accept HND. So Kent State was particularly painful because I mailed them before submitting application. I was like, I have a HND, and now most of the time when you send this email, you need to explain it that HND is a combination of your national diploma and your higher national diploma. Most of the time when you say HND, they assume it's just a 2-year degree, so they will tell you you're not qualified. So, and another thing I would say is, if you have your unofficial transcript, I know that ASU has been on strike even while I was in Nigeria. ASU was on strike too. But if you can find a way to get your, what am I saying? ASU, right? ASU. I'm saying, okay, but I'm saying the two, I'm combining them together, right? So universities and polytechnic, I don't know, but universities has been on strike. So, but if you can get your unofficial transcript, I would say avoid schools that requires for official transcript, because it's going to really cost you money unless you are assured that you're going to be given admission and funding. It's not admission that is your problem. Trust me, you're going to get a lot of admission. The main thing is funding, scholarship, because how do you intend to pay $20,000 unless you have the money? How do you intend to pay that? So admission is not really the problem. The problem is the scholarship. So most of the time, I would encourage people to follow the minimal routes, like route to minimize your cost to the lowest possible means. So go to schools that, look up schools that accept, most schools actually do, that accept unofficial transcripts, so that way you can send multiple transcripts to multiple schools. So when you get admission, you upload your official transcript. At least you're sure that you've already gotten admission, your funding, and this is what you want. So for HND, there are a lot of software out there to do this. So combine your ND transcripts and your HND transcripts in the same PDF document. So when you write this email, and now if you're sending an inquiry email, I have some templates. I was trying to open my Gmail to read these things out to you. So it's basically like you greetings or warm greetings, there. So Dr. this or Professor that. You're writing because you are a prospective graduate student to blah, 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 blah. Their program meets your needs and all of that. So now you introduce yourself, and then you ask about requirements, TOEFL requirements, and then you come in and say, you are a polytechnic graduate. Then you explain, you need to explain this thing, that you're a HND holder. So HND is basically a 4-year plus 1-year internship, because I mean, every polytechnic in Nigeria actually do 1 year, unless you want to go for extra 2 years. In my case, I did 2 years. So you can tell them that it's a 4-year degree program. Do you understand? An ND plus HND. So you have to be very explicit when you are writing this kind of emails. So, and now another thing I would say is, when you're writing this kind of emails, you need to, when you're writing this kind of emails, you need to CC. Send a copy of that email to graduate school, because most time requirements differ from departments and graduate school. Graduate school might tell you, yes, we do accept it. And then department level, they don't. Or graduate school may tell you, we don't need TOEFL. Department level, they need TOEFL. So when writing this email, to avoid sending multiple emails, you have to, maybe if you're writing to graduate school, CC your program coordinator. If you're writing your program coordinator, CC the graduate school, unless these are questions that are very limited or just surrounding your department, then you don't need to CC graduate school. But if these are admission requirements, questions or inquiry, you have to CC the graduate school. And also, if it's possible for you to open a different email, like a separate email for this, so that you know that everything you're getting in this email is related to one particular issue. You don't have to mix up your personal emails or personal things. You don't have to mix things up yourself. So in my own story, when I got to Twitter and I saw all of those things, thanks to the likes of Sunday Okafor here, and a lot of them, Aaron, Dr. Olumiyowa, they were sharing these opportunities on Twitter. And I was asking questions, but not basic questions. I had to do research myself. There are some times when I got confused, and I had to go back and tell them, these are the things that you should ask. Questions pertaining to confusion, like you're confused whether this or that. At the point, because I didn't know what Professor Emeritus is, and is it Professor Emeritus? Mostly retired professor. So I saw it on their departmental website, but that woman's research interest aligned with me. I had to go and ask him, please, I know I searched it up on Google, but I didn't really get it. So what I asked him is not whether she was retired or not, but because it was still on the departmental website, can this kind of person advise my work or supervise me? Do you understand? So, and then this assistant associate professor thing, do you understand? So I asked, these are the kind of questions that maybe people that are already in academia or people that are already in the system would have answers to. You don't ask people, please, how do I apply? What do I write in my SOP? This, I mean, you can draft a good SOP and tell someone to, I mean, all writing, I usually encourage that people write and get a second eye to look at their writings. So you can't tell people to review your SOP. Please, I'm not ready to review SOPs. You can't tell people to review your SOP, but asking people, what should I write? I mean, nobody is you. Your SOP is very, very unique and limited to your own experience. You have your own story, and your SOP is like the face of your application. That is where you need to sell yourself. So that time I engaged in a lot of research. Trust me, it was one of the most hardest phase of my life, because at night I was, I did write the GRE, I wrote the TOEFL, and even though I didn't use them at the end of the day, but at that point in my life, I was trying. My goal was that, yes, I found a school that I found that it is possible for me to do my master's program using my HND. So they shouldn't even waive my TOEFL and all those things. Like, I don't want any more stories that will tell me I'm not qualified or I'm not this. So I went out of my way to write all these things. But at the end of the day, I didn't use them. That is the truth. Even my school, I am in Northern Illinois University. So my school accepts unofficial transcripts. Even here too, they don't, I didn't request for an official copy from my school. I still went there to give them the unofficial copy. So what they need is the original copy of your certificate. I don't know, most schools have what they call external verification. So they might have a way of verifying that between these two institutions. So in this case, I didn't even do official transcript stuff. Do you understand? So for HND, before you apply to any school, make sure that this school that you're applying to, you have mailed them and confirmed that, yes, they are taking your HND for so program. And then another thing I noticed is that from some school websites, I mean, there is this, I don't know, but this should be basic, but though, there is a way that you can search things online. You don't even need to go through processes. I mean, Google is there. Google has billions of searches. So you don't even need to, you can say, some people ask, how do I get my program coordinator, or how do I do this? So now for me that I am in communication studies and I want to get my program coordinator in so school, I can simply add program coordinator, communication studies, Northern Illinois University. Just use important keywords, search it. Google is going to bring out related things. So when you click on a particular link, it just gets you to this particular web page that you're looking for to get necessary information. You don't need to like click on the school admission. In fact, even admission requirements, if you have a HND, you can say so school admission, graduate admission requirements. Search for it, you're going to see. And now what I noticed is that most of the schools for HND people, most of the schools that say bachelor's or equivalent, there is high chance that they would take your HND. Most of the schools that say bachelor's or equivalent or baccalaureate degrees, there is a very good chance that they will take your HND. And then most of them that will take your HND will require WES from you. I did WES, but my school don't even need WES. So it's basically like a waste of money for me. So if you don't have money for WES, there are a lot of schools that do not require WES from you. But now, I did most of those things so that I don't have more limitations. Do you understand? It gave me, it kind of widened my horizon to try out different options. There are schools that will take you, but they will take your HND, but they need WES. There are also schools that when I submitted my WES, like that was Florida State University and University of Alabama. I submitted my WES to University of Alabama, and I think Amanda, the graduate program, something. So she was like, no, that she needs my raw transcripts. She doesn't need WES. So it's basically like they have their internal verification system. Like they have their internal evaluation system rather. So in this case, University of Alabama, his school, Sunday Okafor school, they accept HND. So if you want to try, you can give it a shot. And now they are doing grad school week next month. So you can look out for that. When you attend most of these things, you would get your application fee waived. So you don't even need to. There were a lot of schools. I was doing a Twitter thread on that where I compiled both my own findings and other people. I was just kind of building like a database of schools waiving app fees. So you can look for that thread and like go through it. You see a lot of schools waiving fees, applications, fee waiver codes, and all of those things. This season is season for most schools that do open house. Open house is basically like an event where people come, like they share information about their programs, you know, about their schools and everything. So in this kind of events, most of the schools waive application fees for prospective students. So if you look out for this, you can apply $60. Even now that I heard that MasterCard, Nigerian cards can actually do international transactions. So when you see this kind of opportunity, like take it up and like grab the opportunity and then minimize costs as much as you can. And then before you even go for it's basically beyond the whole HND disparity thing. So the documents you will need for your graduate school journey is basically the same both for BSc and then HND. So your SOP, just like Israel has said before, you have to master the art of storytelling. So I'm going to emphasize for you to, I usually tell, I was a teacher in a secondary school back in Nigeria, right? So I usually tell my students, for you to be a good storyteller, you have to tell it raw, like from your heart first. And I usually tell people, please do not include the pity party stuff. Africa is known for its suffering. So we know that part already. If you have to include your pity party, you have to include it in a way that it is directly related to your story. It is directly related to your graduate school journey. For example, if I say that, I don't even have an example now, but it needs to be something that even pushed you towards going for that particular course or towards pursuing a particular dream. And then, first of all, there are always different drafts to every particular writing. So I usually tell people the first draft, do not care about grammatical errors, your verb agreements, concord and all that. Just write it straight from your heart. Because when you write a story straight from your heart, you tend to include all of the details that you might forget when you're writing from your head. So write it from your heart. And then when you want to review, you can now say, oh, I put very, 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 or instead of using other adjectives that can give me the same word, and then try to cut down the number of unnecessary words that you use. There are also writing.
Please, if you don't mind, can just round up so we can.
Okay. So basically, you will need a very good SOP. Your CV, your CV is very different from your job CV is very different from your academic CV. Compile your transcripts, just like I said in your HND. If you're a HND holder, compile your transcript in a single document. And then while writing these inquiry mails to school, before you apply, make sure you write, some people write professor, they call it a cold email. So make sure you write the graduate school. If you're a HND holder, write the graduate school, see the program coordinator or vice versa, and make sure that they accept HND before you even send in your application, so that they will not tell you, just like in the case of Kent State and Portland State, that my degree is not qualified, is not up to the par of doing master's degree. And that is it. If you have money, do your worst. It will widen the horizon for you to try a lot of schools, actually. And that is it. I'm going to use my microphone now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peace. That was very holistic and detailed. It goes beyond HND. You've already covered almost all what is required to apply to grad school. And I will just add a few more things. But before I go, just put your Twitter handle on the chat box so that can follow you and check your tweets and all that and get more information about that. We'll be taking questions, but quickly before we take questions, I will just share a little, use 3, 4, 5 minutes to share my own experience. Basically, I started to apply to US while I was doing my master's in the UK, and I only applied to 2 schools in the US, 2 schools. And Alabama was like my number 1 choice to come. And the basic thing you need to understand is anything you can do to strengthen your application, is very important that you do it. And as Peace have said, the first thing to do is don't just see, oh, I saw this course in this school, I like it, just start your application. That's not wisdom. The first thing that is required is you check out what is the requirement, what funding do they have. Like funding is why you're applying to grad school in the US. You don't have the money to fund yourself. You need assistantship, you need scholarship, fellowship, whatever form of funding that might be available. So it's required that you first of all make inquiries to ascertain that these fundings are available and how do they award it. For instance, if you check University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, go to the website of different departments, the web page, you will see information about funding. Some will say, oh, graduate assistantship, you have the research assistantship, you have the teaching assistantship, and also you have graduate council fellowships like that. So they have procedures on how they award this assistantship. For instance, graduate assistant, teaching assistantship are usually awarded by the departments based on necessity of, they need more people to assist, or a professor is making a request for a student to assist in particular course. So he send that to the department and they make a decision on who to appoint for that, to how many students to give assistantship. Research assistantship, on the other hand, usually depend on a relationship you've established with a professor, or you wrote your SOP, you applied to a school, and you mentioned some professor you're interested in working with in your SOP. For instance, you've read the articles and there is a particular line that interests you, you can just use that to, say, I'm interested in the research of this professor working on so thing and all this stuff like that. You can include that line of a sentence in your SOP. But it's usually, essential that you reach out to that professor, beforehand. That is a way to kind of establish, relationship, and through cold email, that's what we call a cold email. I did that, like the professor I'm working with now, it was through cold email that we got connected, started talking, for almost 1 year, COVID happened. So but that didn't determine, we were in touch from once in a month. I send an email, check up on him. It's not just about what you want, but are you also interested in them, right? You're also interested in what they do, their life and all that. Like you don't have to always say, I need funding, I want you to fund. No, like throughout the period of COVID, I always send him email, check up on him and his family, like how's the US, hope COVID, hope you guys are safe and all that. I will exchange email, and before you know it, he sent me a message one day that, oh, there is funding, am I interested in this research and all that. I say, why not? Yeah, interested. And from there, that's how I got to start my PhD here. So leverage on those information that have been shared. As Pete said, do your own background check, do your own research. We share information generally at our free time, but you need, the onus is on you to do your own research and to also get information. So when you are asking questions, you're asking more of an informed question, not generic question, so that's very important. So on that note, I'll quickly, we use the next 19 minutes or thereabout to take questions. And with that, we can share more light on information. And I've always tweeted, University of Alabama is having their graduate free application week between October 17 to 21. So within that week, but before then, the information on how to get the code, I'll tweet that first week of October. So yeah, we have a lot of hands up. So we'll quickly take questions. Hopefully we'll be able to cover all the questions. We start with Goodness James. Goodness, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, hi, good afternoon.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I have 2 questions. I'll just run it through. So, what in some sites that I've actually seen, in some university websites I've actually seen for PhD, in the US, they actually don't require you to send a message to their professors. And most times when I send messages like that, they tell me that I'm not required to send the message, I should just apply directly. In that case, what do you think I should do? Then the second question is, if somebody already has a master's and the person is trying to go for a second one, do you think it's advisable? Thank you.
On that note, there are departments that don't need you to send cold email to any professor. Like for instance, in my school, Department of Mathematics, for instance, Department of Political Science, you don't need to send any cold email because it's not the professor that will pick you. It's the department that decide on who they give funding. And most time, once you are admitted, like political science, they don't have funding, they won't even give you admission. So they would state it that you don't need to reach out to any professor, you just go ahead and apply, because for the first 3 years or thereabouts of your program, you're not going to be assigned with a particular professor. You're still within the department teaching and all that. So it's after your 2-3 years of PhD that you get into, you get to assign to a particular professor. So there are cases like that. So your second question is, what's your second question again?
Okay, so my second question is someone already
Master's,
has a
second
master's.
master's.
Yes.
Well, I think people do that, but you have to provide your transcript of your first master's while you're applying for the second one. Then you have to kind of justify why you need a second master's. Probably you're switching career path or something like that. You have to kind of justify that. But of course, it's possible for you to do a second master, but I don't see reason why you need to do a second master's.
And please, can I add something to this? I want to say, because of time, if you have another question, you can put it down in the comment section. I'll be attending to some questions, please.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then goodness, aside getting admission, you also have to consider your visa approval rates. Sometimes VU will question your intent to get in a second master rather than, so unless maybe your second master, your first master's was somehow, maybe you did a master's in biology, something like that, and now you're working in a banking industry. So you want to do a master's in finance, something like that. Do you understand? Your story must have to relate somehow. So if you have a master's in biology and you're doing a master's in microbiology, again, second master's, when you go for your visa interview, trust me, they're gonna really question your intent of going to the US.
That's very true there.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, you can raise down your hands now that your questions have been taken. The next person is Owamano Ofide. Unmute yourself and ask your question. Very straight to the point. We just encourage one question per person, so we can go around.
Good afternoon, all from Nigeria.
Yeah, go on, please. Are you there?
Oh, please pause. Can I join the meeting later and try to get back to you? I assume a call's coming through.
Okay, you can type your question later on. Let's go next. FG, you can unmute yourself, ask your question quickly. You have 14 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone from Nigeria. So my question is regarding a graduate school. I had from my list of schools, there are 10 already. But from the 10, 4 schools are requested that I submit my application first. That is for HND. I submit my application first before they do their own verification. That I don't need to submit a WES evaluation. So how do I go about that? Then another school requested that I write a GMAT for a management program, or I don't have a scholarship for that program. So it's more of a condition. If I want scholarship, I should write the GMAT. So what do you advise?
Please.
Okay, see, most schools, personally, when a school tells me, okay, now I'm going to give an example, University of Illinois Springfield, when I was applying to the school, they needed WES. And they said, I was like, I did WES. And now they don't just need WES. You know that after doing your WES will give you an unofficial copy. I'm going to be rushing this because we don't have time. WES will give you an unofficial copy of your transcripts, and then you can use this. So University of Illinois Springfield was saying they have to get the official WES. And for me to order a copy from WES, I need $40, and I don't have that kind of money for it. So I asked them, if I give you WES, if I order this, if I waste this $40, do I have that guaranteed I'm going to get admission and scholarship? They said no. So why? So if you are guaranteed somehow that you're going to be getting admission and scholarship, then give it a chance. Do you understand? Then give it a chance. What I'm saying in general, our stories are all unique in different ways. if you know, or you see that you can do this, you can do a short course on Coursera, you can write a GRE, you can write a TOEFL that will strengthen your application. Please do it. What am I saying? You are battling against thousands of people globally. So do whatever you need to do that will strengthen your application. That's it. So if you see that when you write a GMAT, it's going to strengthen your application, do it. And it's not as if maybe when you write it, you're going to use it for one school. You can use it for multiple schools. Do you get it? So just make sure that you establish a stance so that when they don't end up doing this for you, you can come back to your email and say, you told me to write a GMAT, that it is very dependent on scholarship. Do you understand? So what is happening? You can hold them to their words, something like that. So, but you can also look for schools that don't need this. There are a lot of them out there. You just need to dedicate time. Like this whole process, trust me, is a full-time job. It's a full-time job. It's going to really take a lot. Yeah, it took a lot of time. You have to give it time. So take a lot of time, sit down, maybe at night, give it 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day at night when you might have done with your day's job. Look for schools. There are more than 5,000 schools in the US that needs you, actually. So I hope I've answered your question.
All right, so thank you, please, for that. Let's go on. Show me more, pay me.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'll be fast about this. So I'm a science student. I'm actually asking for a younger sister. So my question is that, Peace, you said your school didn't use your GRE, but on the website of your school, I saw they said you needed like GRE. I'm like, then what's the point of you writing a GRE?
Yes. Okay.
Also, please wait, I'm sorry. Also for the funding, they never mentioned anything about funding because I'm always particular about school that say they'll give us funding. So they never mentioned anything. And the last question is, what about if you probably graduate with a 2-2, can someone do WES evaluation or something? So can you please clarify on that?
Okay, my school doesn't need WES. Let me start from the most recent question. My school doesn't need WES. So whether most of the time when you don't have a good result, I will mostly advise you to do all these online courses on Coursera, or maybe make sure that you have a very solid professional knowledge to back up your application. Where I work in my school, I literally evaluate applications, and trust me, anything can strengthen your application. You understand? Anything can strengthen your application. So if you know that your result is somehow low, or something somehow in your application is going to maybe put you down, do something else to strengthen it. Do you understand? And then for GRE, my school is crazy about GRE. I'm not going to lie to you. But now on their website, for my department, I'm speaking for my department, communication studies, they needed GRE. But they said, if your CGPA, your that's it now, GP is above 3, is like 3 points on a scale of 4, they can waive it for you. Do you understand? And I didn't want that, actually. I didn't want to submit my GRE, even though I wrote it, because now, why am I submitting? If I submit the unofficial copy, I still need to submit the official copy after admission. So because I already have that requirement for it to be waived, I asked the graduate program coordinator, I have this, you can waive it for me, and he did. And then for funding, most schools don't tell you that they will give you funding, actually. Most actually do it, but most times, they give funding. Like me, I got a tuition waiver from my department. When I came here, they didn't give me graduate assistantship actually initially. This is for some people saying whether they will submit a separate application. I kind of feel like we don't have time. You can put your questions in the chat group while I read them and take it one by one. I think it's quicker that way. So now, my school, they just waived my tuition. So I just have to cater for my living expenses in the US. So there are a lot of schools that they have, for my school, they call it a Huskies Get Hired. They have like a website where a lot of departments in the school post job vacancies. So I went to this place. And then whatever I want to say is that if you're going to a particular school and you feel like you like this school, connect with Nigerians in the school. There are a lot of Nigerians scattered all over the world. So connect with Nigerians in this school. And from my own experience, Nigerians abroad in the US here, they are really nice people. They are good. They want to even help you, honestly. So I connected with a lot of people that gave me inside information that is not on the school website. Trust me, there are a lot of information in the school that they don't advertise or post on the school website. Do you understand? So I got to that website. I put out my application to a lot of different departments. So before even I came to the US, I had like 3 job offers in my school already. So I was the one that, yes, I chose the one I wanted, because that aligned to what I needed. So now currently I have a tuition waiver from my department. And now what I have now is a graduate assistantship. And now in my school, a graduate assistantship automatically comes with a tuition waiver. So it's basically like I have 2 tuition. One is wasting. You understand?
Yeah,
So
thank you.
yeah, please. Yeah.
More question, you can follow on Twitter and then ask more question through either tagging any of the scholars, and then we'll try to attend to that. We are running out of time. Okay, let me call on Joe. Joe, can you unmute yourself? 15 seconds and ask your question. All right, your network is bad. Okay.
Can I?
Uwamano, can you ask?
Thank you. It's Roman of Fide.
Okay.
I have a quick question. I was going to ask something specifically about Alabama, University of Alabama. I know I'm looking forward to reaching out to the this application waiver week, or I think so, and I'm particularly interested in the metallurgical department. There's a particular professor I'm seeing. His name is Dr. Nilesh Kumar, who has my specific welding kind of background. And I want to know if it's okay to actually send him a cold mail before the application waiver week comes up. And then my other question is, based on my background, I have a HND in welding engineering, and in many countries in the world, welding is not even done in universities. So in Nigeria, it's only done in the HND level. And in the US, only one school has it for graduate level, which is Ohio State University. But the admission requirement is a little bit complicated, and I'm trying to save money for West evaluation, save off money for language proficiency and the rest. So what would you advise if I would want to do something similar? Because most schools still don't even have the metallurgy related course, which is why I'm stuck with Alabama and Ohio State University. What would you advise? Is it okay to just jump into other departments?
Thank you for your question. Yes, you can send email to the professor, and then your email must relate to what he's doing. And the fact that you did welding in your HND doesn't mean that you have to also find a program welding for PhD. Find something that relates to your field. In the US, there are different areas you can explore. So don't limit yourself to that welding. Look at other areas of interest that relates to your past experience that you can join together and make progress on that. Yes, send email and don't limit yourself to those 2 schools. All right, you can move from one program to the other. Mechanical engineering is related to metallurgical. So find a bridge between what you've done and what you can.
Thank you.
All right. Let me go straight to Mary Afolake. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Good day, everyone. My name is Mary and I'm from Nigeria. So I recently attended an information session, and the presenter told us that we could apply to like 2 different degrees in a particular school, like it's a business school here. So he said we could apply like for 2 different master's degree in that particular business school. So I want to ask you, what do you think about applying like for 2 different degrees in a particular school, knowing that there are chances that it's the same person that would review your application? Thank you very much.
Yes, it's possible. Most schools in US will allow you to apply to 2 different programs within the same year. So that's what they always do, is that if you meet the requirement, they will give you admission. They don't look at, oh, why is this person applying to 2 programs? It's based on merits. It might be that you are interested in those 2 programs, but you don't know how, you've not decided which one to go for. So you're free to do that. And once you meet the requirement, they don't look at that as that's basically is not a disadvantage. You can go ahead and do that. All right. Okay. Isaac Amofa. Quickly, we have 3 minutes left.
Good afternoon. I'm Isaac from Ghana.
Yes, go on, please.
Yeah, please, with the application with respect to that of University of Alabama, is it different from the application to the school? Is it different from application for a scholarship or funding in the school, or they are one?
Yes, you don't need a separate application for scholarship. What you need is to apply to a program, if you're applying for a PhD program, usually they consider you for funding. It is stated on the website that all applicants will be considered for funding. So you just need to review your departmental information and see how their funding are being awarded. So it will always be stated there clearly. There is no a separate application for US. Your application for admission is the same document they will review to give you funding. That's why SOP is very important that you write it very well. And so there's no separate application. Also, although most departments will later on, after you have submitted your application, they will send you an email that you want to be considered for funding. And then you said yes, you ask you to fill a form, but that is afterward. There is no separate application at the beginning. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it answers the question.
All right.
Thank you.
Shineye Oga, quickly ask your question. I'm trying to take one male, one female, so we'll balance it out. Shineye, go on. We have 1 minute left.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to ask, I'm currently doing a PhD program in Nigeria, but the research I want to do within the university where I'm working, where I'm doing the PhD, I don't seem to have someone else providing. So I'm looking at the US. So I want to ask, do you think I should include that I'm currently doing a PhD in my CV or in the whatever letter that I'm writing, code email that I'm writing to any professor? Should I include that I'm currently doing a PhD program, or I should just leave it out?
If you are currently doing a PhD, then you need to know when you're going to finish your PhD. If you're not going to finish your PhD before the start of your program you want to apply to, or you intend to leave the PhD program and move to US, then
Yes.
it is our advice you not to include it. That's personal advice, because if you are including that you're currently doing a PhD, it is required that you also specify when you are going to finish that. And you don't want to lie that you are finishing it when you're not supposed to finish it. So it's better to, since it's a program you just started, it's better to leave it. Just focus on what you already have, your master's or your bachelor's, and use that to write. You can talk about your research experience, even though it's from your PhD, you are currently just talk, I have research experience in this area and all that. All right, we'll not be able to take further questions. We have 20 seconds. Thank you, everyone that joined this space. Thank you, Peace, for sharing your experience and attending questions from the chat box. You can follow us on Twitter. You can tag us by asking a question. We try as much as possible to answer them. Have a lovely evening and bye.
All right, so thank you, everyone. I would like to appreciate our panelists for the job well done in the different breakout rooms. Thank you so much. So right now we're gonna just go through our question and answer. So if you have any question that you would like to ask the general audience, please go ahead and do so now. And so that we can round up in the next 23 minutes. Yeah. I think I have one person raising her hand already. Rachel, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I was supposed to ask a question in our breakout section, but due to the time. Okay, my question is, I have a master's degree in public health epidemiology, and I'm in Australia now, in Perth precisely. But because of my family, I can't move away from here, because I searched online and I found out that there are no schools here offering public health epidemiology. But during our breakout section, Israel made mention of we being flexible. So my question is, how do I go about it? if I want to be flexible going to other states to apply for my PhD. That's for one. That's for one. Then also, Mr. Aaron, during our section, he made mention of Australian awards. So he said, if you're going to apply for that, that after you're done, you have to go back to your country. For someone who is already in Australia, if I apply, do I need to go back? These are my two questions. Thank you.
All right, Israel, do you want to do justice to the first question?
Okay, with regards to the first question, what I would say is that, when I talked about flexibility, I mean flexibility in your research interest as well. So it's not just about moving away from, a particular location to another location, but then in your research interest. Now, let me say this. You may want to also know that staying alone in Perth would limit you greatly. There's a lot of states and universities in Australia that you want to explore. If you think, just do the opportunity cost or value review and say, do you want to stay in Perth or do you want to check some other area? But then with regards to the first question of being flexible, think about other things you can do aside from public health, that are tangential to your research interest. Think about it broadly, very flexible, and think about how you can, because even when you start doing research, like I said, you would see that what you start with sometimes might not be what you will end with, right? So just be open, kind of categorize, different areas of research within that field of study and see whether there are some other areas you can blossom, and then there are some other areas you can maybe explore within Perth as well.
All right, yeah. Aaron, please, can you go ahead with the second question? Or if you want to
Yes,
still add to the first question, you can go ahead as well.
Yes, I'm in the space of public health, and public health is well funded. I think that question is from Rachel. Public health is well funded in Australia, and you have the leverage to the flexibility of what you want to do. My field is public health as well, but I have nothing to do with epidemiology. I'm looking more on the social science of social research side of things. So it's about coming up with a proposal. What interests you? What have you done in your master's? Was there any topic that sparked up your interest? What is actually in vogue now that you want to look at? And then try to come up with something. You're in a very fortunate field where there's so much money in public health. So just try to look at what you want to come up. Could be from your own space of your master's or what is actually happening in Australia at the moment. So try to see what you can come up with that. But yeah, bear in mind that it's well funded and an interesting field that you can do. I'm currently doing something around HIV and disability, and it's just a merger of something I brought together from my practice. So just think in that direction. About the second question, I'm not sure about the Australian awards. I don't know are you a domestic student? Are you domestic, or you still have your international status?
I still have my international status.
Okay. With that, I'm not sure if it's a caveat that if you are, because you are applying as an international student, the understanding and the firm thing with Australia was that when you finish, you have to return to your home country. So that's a rule with the scholarship. I'm not sure because you are here. You're still an international student, so that rule might apply. So I will encourage you to look towards the RTP scholarship, which so much funding, so much money in that space, because you're in public health. You cannot run out of money in Australia with the RTP scholarship. So just look wide and focus on the RTP scholarship, and look everywhere and anywhere. Thank you.
So
Thank
much,
you very
Aaron,
much.
for that.
Thank you.
All right, so can we go to Kehinde? Kehinde, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon from Nigeria. My name is Kainde from Nigeria. I would like to know. I actually have my mind on the US fundings, and I've actually been working on some schools. But there is actually one school I would love to go to, but they are not offering a course I intend to go for, but they are offering something very related, something very, very related. I want to actually go for a plant science course as an agriculturist, but they are offering forestry. They are not offering plant sciences. So I would like to know I can do in that case, what I can do in that case to actually help me and to actually help my documents and everything for the admission and the funding. So that's my question. And also I would like to know some techniques that one could actually use in drawing professors to him or herself. If you get me very well, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, sorry. Before Sunday or Amaka actually respond to the questions, please, for subsequent people who are going to be asking questions, you are only limited to one question because of our time. Please take
Okay.
notes. All right.
So sorry about that.
Interjection between the program you are interested in and the one you saw on the website. It's just about you finding a balance. Are you interested in that one you saw? Do they have funding for it? And how can you leverage on what you have already to stand a chance for that program? So that is it. Most time you don't find exactly what you studied in Nigeria, because this is a very diverse and in-depth society where they do research in even little things that you can think of. So as long as you have a background which relates, maybe you have done a course, maybe one course in your undergrad that relates to that PhD program, you definitely stand a chance to apply to it. You know, there's no restriction for that. And don't just micro zone yourself to, oh, if it is not this program, it is not the other one. So there's diversity. I have a friend here who studies, I think, physiology or something, and then he's doing a program called drug delivery, something on drug delivery. Like, it's a very unique program. So US will always give you that opportunity to explore something totally a bit different from what you've known in Nigeria and all that. So go for it. And if I get correctly your second question, you're talking about what's the second question? I can't remember that.
How do you draw professors? Because
Okay.
I've written to several professors. I've written to over 40 or 50 professors, and I've not really gotten a very, very positive answer from them. So,
Okay. So in terms of sending emails to professor, yes, most of them might not reply your emails. And you have to be careful which professors are you sending emails. Are you sending emails to emeritus professors, full professors, all those ones like adjunct professors? You might not get response. Even if you get them, I tell you they're not accepting students because they are. So you should be targeting assistant professors, most associate professors. Even associate professors sometimes don't even, they are not too enthusiastic to accept PhD students. But those, you see those assistant professors that are just getting into the system, they have targets. They have 5 years to tenure. So within 5 years, they have to get students, do research, do this, do that. They have a lot to do within that period. So always target assistant professors. And in sending your code emails, you have to be very specific. You have to go straight to the point because they receive these emails like tons every day. There are templates here and there. Of course, we have scholars like have curated templates of how to compose these emails on Twitter. So just use those templates, modify it, don't copy and paste, write with your own words, write something that you are interested in working on. How does it relate with that professor? 2-3 paragraph maximum is enough. Don't write your SOP on a code email. So this professor will not have time to read that. But just specifically, your first line should draw the attention of that professor. Sometimes I tell people templates are good, but sometimes be creative, right? You can just, introduce yourself and say, I read this paper about your research and I found this thing. Like, that can be your first paragraph. You don't have to be, my name is this, I finished from this school. No, those things don't interest them. What they interest them is that, oh, this person you like my research. Wow, that's interesting. Like, that should be like your attraction point. Once the person reads this, I'll be like, okay, wow, okay, we can talk. So that can be a way to to start your cold email, and you can get more attention using that strategy. And I remember when I first cold emailed my current advisor, like I was straight to the point. The heading of my email was, or the subject of my email was, "Can you be my advisor?" That was the title. I didn't use prospective PhD students. Like, and when he replied me, was like, that was what even attracted him to me. Like, he was like, wow, like it was a very unique heading that I used. So just try and find something creative and make sure you are not sounding over, confident or something like that.
All right, thank you so much, Sunday, for that. I mean, you mentioned something very important. You said templates are good, but be creative. You don't have to box yourself, because sometimes some of these professors are not conventional. So even if you use conventional means to reach out to them, they might know. It might be something awkward. My code email was not even that good. When I reached out to my current advisor, and here I am today. So just highlight your research interest. That's one of those things they want to see, and your enthusiasm for that research interest. Yeah. I don't know if Amaka please want to add to that before we move to the next person. All right, thank you. HGT, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Please keep it very simple, and I will appreciate if our responses to the questions can be as possible as well. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Hamza from Nigeria. Please, I'm asking, I have a MPH and I'm planning to process admission in the UK. Please, what are my chances? And please, the second question, where can I put professional certificates that I got online in my CV? Thank you.
All right, our UK people.
Okay, I think this will probably, okay, I think I will just respond very quickly. Can you see me? I can't see myself, but anyway, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So for MPH, I think the first, I got the second question. I'm not sure the first one. So the second question is, where should you put your online qualifications? Is that on your CV or in your statement of purpose? If it's a CV,
in my CV. Yes.
If it's a CV, all you just need to do is to create a section, and you can title it whatever, online qualifications or qualifications achieved, and then you list them out however you want to write them. But it should be somewhere towards after you've put your educational qualifications, and then that can come after that. Sorry, what's the first question? You said MPH, and then you said, what are your chances?
Yes, MPH, and I have 4.6 CGP. What are my chances if I want to pursue PhD in public health in the UK?
Oh, okay. If you want to pursue PhD in the UK, okay, fab. So for me, I would always advise that a PhD is more focused on, obviously, it depends on the funding source, if it's self-funded or scholarship, but I don't think we have time for all of that now. But what I would just say is, if it's PhD, try and put enough effort in your research proposal, because your proposal, in addition to your CV, of course, but the proposal is actually what would really sell you and what you want to do. We want to know that you know what it takes to do a PhD, and your idea is good enough for a PhD application. And also, if you can, while you're applying or before you apply, you send your application in, try and cold email some professors or we don't really call, I mean, there's not a lot of professor in quotes in the UK. We have lecturers, senior lecturers. So any of those within the departments in the university that you're interested in, try and cold email them, like previous speaker has highlighted, so that you can write in your statement as part of what you've done. I've linked up with Professor this or Dr. that, and they are quite excited and interested in my project, because sometimes some applicants get declined because they don't have someone that can supervise them. So if you've already covered that part, you most likely will get through. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fola. I don't know if Victor wants to add something to that. You're muted, Victor.
Yes, I think Dr. Fala said most of the things. It's just about cold emails. So it depends on the university or the course you're also applying for. Some universities do not require cold emails, some do. So you have to know the distinction as well, whether you have to send or not. And also proposal. So for public health, for instance, a professor might already have like a topic and a question. And all you just need to do is to show that you have the background to undertake this particular research. But in a situation where you expected to come up with your own research topic, your own research question, then you have to send a proposal. So know the distinction as well. We left some websites in our breakout room. I hope you got the website where you can find opportunities in public health. So look at them and see their different or their peculiar application requirements. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for that. Goodness, James, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I actually have a master's degree and I'm planning to go for a PhD. But my issue now is that most schools I see, they're always saying they need a certain GPA on the undergraduate level. So my question now is that what do I do in that case? So I just go for a PhD or should try a second master's?
Sorry, anyone can answer this one.
Goodness, just to be clear, you said you have a master's in what area?
Okay, so I have an undergraduate degree in international relations. I have a master's in peace and conflict studies.
So you want to go for a PhD in what?
In peace and conflict studies.
So if you join the US breakout session, and if I get you, you said your master's has a better GP, right?
Yes, a 4.0.
I mean, use it then.
Okay.
Yes, use it and then look for schools. Okay, you were saying they need something, they need like a certain CGPA.
Yes.
But your CGPA is good already.
Like on the undergraduate level, they need like a certain CGPA.
Okay, for most schools, if you're applying for a PhD, most of what will matter is your master's CGPA. You understand? For the requirements, yeah. If you're going for it, so in US you can go from your BSc or BA to PhD. So most times they will generalize these things. But if you have a master's already, you can go from your master's, straight up to your PhD. And what will matter at that time is your master's CGPA. Do you understand?
But what of in Canada? Because I feel like Canada is quite different.
Okay, I'm talking about US. So, and okay. For US, if you need more clarity, just like I said in our breakout session, you can email the schools directly. You get the right information from them.
Okay.
I don't know if Timmy wants to answer that. Tim Lane, please, or Summer, yes.
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead. I think it's almost the same thing with the US, if you are thinking about Canada in that regard, because your master's certificate should actually mask whatever inadequacies in your undergraduate transcript. So I would advise that you look out for more schools. That school might just have a weird requirement. So you might look out for other schools that would actually accept what you have. Because if you have a good grade in your master's, you don't have to feel rejected or so just try other schools.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Can I add like one sentence?
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, for the US, it is always stated on their website that you just need a bachelor's to apply to a graduate program, most of the schools. And the fact that you have a master's gives you an edge. And even if you have a 2-2, of course, I've seen people who have 2-2 have gotten funding. It is everywhere. You have testimonies that is everywhere. So what most departments do is that even when they state that the minimum requirement is 3 points on a 4-point scale, they always put a clause there that there is conditional at offer, even if you have a lower CGPA. So they consider other documents you submit. For instance, you have a master's already, that can boost your application. So having a lower CGPA for your bachelor's doesn't stop you from getting funding. So what you need to do is, does the school require you to do WES evaluation to boost your CGPA in a way?
If they don't require, you just go ahead and apply, or you can first of all email the grad school to tell them that, okay, you have this CGPA, but you have a master also. And they will give you information and tell you that, oh, you stand a chance. So that's where you will be able to, have a better information, just as Peace have said.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to go to, I think for the sake of time, I'm going to start with Adige Lucky. So if you raise your hand after, then I might not be able to respond to your question. So Akin Missy, please go ahead and ask your question. You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry I logged in late. I was a bit at the meeting much, but I graduated from PTI engineering, and basically I have a practical background on, and I that UX takes PhD. They take PhD.
It seems like you are breaking. Is it from my end?
Yeah, he's breaking. Adige, please, we're gonna come back to you. Yeah. Akin Missy, please go ahead. Akin Missy, please go ahead.
Okay, I did my bachelor degree.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chemistry.
Yeah, go ahead with your
But
question.
the issue I'm having is that my thesis is not really.
There's some network issues.
They're breaking. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Jalal, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. My question is particularly about Australia. So, actually, I want to ask about the RTP scholarship. I understand there's great need to secure a supervisor before even applying to the school.
Go ahead, please.
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So in a situation where one was unable to secure a supervisor before the admission cycle closes, what do you think one should do? Can we just go ahead and apply without securing a supervisor, or just look for another opportunity? Thank you.
All right, Aaron, please. Yeah. Oh, Rosemary.
Okay. Rose, you can start on that.
I think for most Australians, I know there's a form you have to, even if you expression of interest form, you have to have a supervisor before you will do that to apply for admission. So I don't think you'll be admitted, even self-funded, without a supervisor. That's one of the things I think I know. Getting a supervisor is one of the first thing before applying for scholarship. But I don't know if other university does, but most universities I know, you have to get a supervisor. What I would advise is keep writing your cold email, learn how to write it, be brief in it and write it very well, then work on your resume and keep writing.
Yeah, and just to add, if the funding circle is closed, if you find somebody you're still interested in, write the person and say, hey, I mean, this is my work. I know the funding circle is closed, but are you able to supervise me so I can wait for the next funding circle while also writing other supervisors in other places? So just you don't lose out on some opportunities. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Rosemary and Aaron, for the answers. We're going to just take more people and we're going to close. Amaka, please go ahead with your question.
All right, good evening from Nigeria. My name is Amaka, Onebunne. Yes, I think the first section that Israel took, he talked about using story as a form of writing the SOPs. Is it limited to a particular field or it's applicable to all fields? So,
all right.
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, what I did the first session, Israel, the first session before.
I think I get your question.
Got your question, yeah.
Yeah, I got your question. up until now, I mean, until today, I still write stories for my research article. And I wish I can show you one, right? I wrote the introduction, because almost every article would have introduction. I wrote the introduction and my supervisor was like, Israel, you're writing evocative stories. This is interesting. I'm like, okay, I think they are liking this. And so all of my research article would always start with a story, very interesting stories, story that I would try to link with. So what I'm trying to say is that in every facet of your life, in anything you are doing, whether it's science, and we are gearing towards, having knowledge translation now. So even if you are a thick science person, you are encouraged to kind of, put some humanness into your your writings and your whatever you are doing. So whether you are trying to write for scholarship, or you are trying to write for a business proposal, or you are trying to write to woo your next your wife, there is a story in everything. So put the story together and start writing. Okay, so it applies to every facet of your life. So okay, just learn the skill, and then understand that there are different stories for different context as well. Don't go and be writing about how you suffered when you are you're applying for a business pitch or something like that. So there are you need to be careful. Let me put it that way, right? You need to be very careful. There are tendencies to story, right? So even within the academic community, some of the drawbacks or some of the objection towards storytelling is that sometimes it makes things very simplistic, right? And then it can be manipulative sometimes. So you need to be very careful. But if you have a good command of storytelling, my brother can do anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One question.
You won't be able to, no, you won't be able to answer ask the second one, please, because of our time. All right, confidence Paul. Then after confidence Paul, I'm going to go to Do, then Promise. Confidence Paul, please go ahead. All right, so Udo, please go ahead with your question. It seems confidence does not want to ask the question anymore. Udo, go ahead with your question. All right.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Olajuwon Idowu from Nigeria. I think the first question I want to ask, the only question I want to ask really is in putting together my CV for graduate admission, I was advised recently to include my publications, not research publications, for instance. So I have an NGO and it has gotten a lot of traction with the United Nations. I've done some TV interviews with BBC Africa, and I was advised to include something like that in my CV. What do you think of that? Then the second thing is not a question. I'm hoping that when we're running up the session, if panelists could also share website that they think that we could check for school applications, like the UK panelists did. I'm not interested in just the UK, so I'm hoping that if there's any other person that wants to share website links that we should be on the lookout for, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Udo. Before anybody answer the question, I'm going to say that I'm going to flog you if you don't include the things you mentioned earlier into your CV. I mean,
Really?
they are very important. I mean, they show your track records. Yeah. Let me just stop. I don't know if someone wants to flesh in that my comment up. Yeah.
Yes, I think just what I come from the NGO space as well, having worked in the NGO before I came here, and those are very valid things. You can have invited talks or interviews or presentations, have a section like that and put those presentations and the links that are there as well. And it'll even be more catchy, especially if you're applying for something in your space of in the space of development as well. So yeah, very critical to add that. But again, be very strategic in adding, what will sell your story for the particular thing you're selling. Don't just crowd your CV with everything and anything. You can be also selective to amplify what will sell your story for the particular program you're applying to. Thank you.
Just to add to that, please, if you're in the media space or if you're in communication and you don't have maybe a peer-reviewed journal article, but you have newspaper articles to your name, please try and include them into your CV. They're going to be your selling point. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to call on Promise Akali. Please go ahead with your question. And I think that might be the last person who will give the opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, the panelists, for a wonderful and well thought out section. Yeah, so my question is that I have a background in biochemistry. After my undergraduate, I venture into public health. So I've had a lot of research work, though I do as more like a research assistant for both quantitative and qualitative research. So I don't have access to the publication. So how do I include that in application in my application? Because my area of interest now is public health, in either the UK or Australia. So I just wanted to get some more clarification. Do I have the experience, but I don't have access to the publications on some of those researches, both quantitative and qualitative? So any of the panelists can answer. Thank you. Over.
Yeah, I don't understand when you say you don't have access. Do you author the publication, or are you part of the authors of the publication?
No, I don't author the publication. So I mostly have been contracted as a consultant, or more or less a research assistant, just to maybe carry out data collection activities.
And unfortunately for you, your name will not include. I mean, your name was not included in the publications.
Yes.
That one's serious. Yeah.
So let me jump in here. So what I did in my own case was, I think I was in your own situation some 5-6 years ago. So I used to, during my bachelor's degree days, I used to work with some of my supervisors, some of my lecturers, new lecturers then, and then we'll go to Kwara State, we'll go and collect data, we'll go to this, they pay me my money. I would just go, because I want money that time. I was hustling big time that time. So they pay me my money, I go. But I didn't realize what I was doing to myself. I didn't know that all of these things could have helped me when I was about to apply. And one funny thing that happened when I was about to apply, one of the papers that I wrote, I wrote it was even my final year project, right? But because I collected money, right, I didn't have any claim to it again, right? And I saw it when I was trying to find papers, just find papers to reference and say, this is my area. And I saw my paper, I was like, but I cannot use this one now. Nobody would, So what I was able to do was, in my research experience, I documented all of those things. And then I wrote some of the things that I did. I did this for this paper. 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 So with that, I was able to communicate to the review panel, whoever that is reading my CV, that, I have experience. I have done this before. I even included, PhD thesis that I help people to, put some things, one or two things together. When you're hustling in Nigeria, you don't know that some of the things you are doing, you are injuring yourself, right? You just want money, 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 money. But then when the time comes, you now discover that, oh, I missed out. So I think one of the ways you can manage that would be to kind of, together something in your CV and then write, I did this for this, I did this. Be very explicit. Don't lay claims to the papers. Don't lay, because of course your name is not there, and then maybe they didn't even acknowledge you. Of course they paid you. So just reference that I did this for this, I did this for this. And of course, if there is a need, for them to, people reviewing your work to now come and say, for this paper you said you did this, for this paper you said you did this, for this. Especially when you have like 4, 5, 7 papers, somebody will be curious, like, all these people, your name no dey there. What happened? So then you can now start telling them that, oh, you used to do this professionally as a consultant, and know that then you would be able to maybe convince somebody. I hope that helps.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Again, yeah, watch out for red flags, because that could be a red flag to some other people. Like,
Yes.
you have 10 papers in which you had contribution to, but your name was not there. Yeah, it's either they think that you were actually shortchanged, because it could actually induce so many means. So always be careful with that. Yeah, just mention as little as you can mention to keep it sane. Because sometimes you might look at it like maybe you are involved in academic fraud for people. So be careful. Be careful. Be very careful. Yeah. All right. I don't know if there's any other contribution before we round up. Yeah, I think we've taken so much time. Yeah, we've taken so much time today. Yeah, I think in the absence of that contribution, yeah, I'm going to appreciate all our panelists, starting from Aaron. Aaron, thank you for joining us all the way from Australia.
Hello, good afternoon.
So it's 1 a.m. around your time there. Please, we won't be able to answer any question anymore. Sorry about that. Yeah, so please drop your question in the chat box. One of those things I want to do is to compile all the questions and the panelists in their free time will be able to answer some of these questions. Thank you so much, Rosemary, also from Australia. I think it's 1 a.m. you're over there now. Yeah,
1
thank you.
a.m.
Oh, yours is even more than 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1 a.m.
fine.
Okay, it's 1 a.m. Sorry. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Amaka Peace, all the way from I don't know your city in Illinois, but yeah, well, it's fine. Thank you so much, Sunday Okafor. Thank you so much, Adeseko Israel. Thank you, Soma Okibe. Thank you so much, Dr. Falashade Allah. Thank you, our brother from Japan, Mr. Lowokere Emmanuel. Thank you so much, Mr. Victor. I mean, just go to the YouTube of Mr. Victor. I mean, all the questions on your ads are already
You're
answered
welcome.
there. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Olaiwola from South Korea. Hope I'm not missing anybody. Okay, my friend Timilein is a good friend. Thank you so much, all the way from Canada. I've been able to actually, cover everyone. And I think during the session, Professor Shola Timi actually also joined us. Much for joining. I don't know if you're still on the call, but I would like to appreciate you for joining this session. And to everyone who joined the session, to all the participants, thank you for actually staying from when we started to this point. And please, I would like to apologize for the inability to actually answer all the questions. Hopefully, what I'm going to do after this session is to compile all the questions, and send to all our panelists, and in their free time, they're going to respond to those questions. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, we're going to see you in the next Scholars Connect. All right, see you, and have a lovely day.
Yeah.